Mr. Rob, Robot Shlomo, your narrator supreme, the hostess with the mostest. I'm the host, the most, baby. So, and joining me as usual is Mr. Tom Connors.
Hi there. Well, sounds like we missed half your intro, but thank you everybody for joining us here on Midnight's Edge After Dark live.
Yeah, okay. Let me close out the window, chat window. Yeah. So hopefully that'll help. Okay, but anyway, we got some new good safe 4th of July. I hope everybody still has their fingers and toes intact. So let's just dive right in. You still reading me, Tom?
I am indeed, sir. You're a little shaky, but we're getting there. Hopefully,
I am broadcasting from the surface of the sun. That's why those damn solar.
I know they're horrible. Those solar flares. Yeah, we lost you again, but that's all right. We'll truck through until we get you back. Here you are. Oh, okay. So, are you with me, Rob? Rob, are you there? And we lost Rob again. Folks, I tell you, this live stuff is really something else. We had no issues for a while, then all of a sudden we lose Rob on a regular basis. So, go figure on that one. But yeah, we've got some great news coming up for you here as soon as we get Rob back on the podcast here. Rob, are you there, good buddy? There you are.
We got gremlins. We got gremlins. It's gremlins.
I can hear you say gremlins now. Gremlins. Oh, boy.
There's gremlins in my cab.
Let's just hope by one of the next shows here we got this all ironed out. I have you now, so let's not waste any time. What's the latest news, Rob?
Yes, this comes back to us. This comes to me from Esquire. Star Wars fans are feeling an intense ownership over the sci-fi franchise. If they believe in young and hot and starry-eyed Last Jedi, then Rian Johnson should have delivered. Hell, they think they can make a better movie. Oh, fuck you! Complete with sexier stars, long monologues, and about where Snoke came from. And from what his plans were. Here we are, 1 year and 5 months away from the release of Star Wars Episode 9, and fans are already freaking out about the few details we have. We know it will be directed by and co-written by J.J. Abrams. We know fans will bitch about it incessantly, and we know it will star Keri Russell as a new character. That's it. And the rest of the article goes on about speculating who Keri Russell is. Fans over at Reddit are saying it. They're saying that she might play Rey's mother. Some people are saying she might be Mara Jade. Another theory is that she villain. Yeah, another theory is she might be one of the Knights of Ren. Honestly, where could they go at this point? Really, where in the world can they go? Rian Johnson set up this to go absolutely nowhere.
Pretty much.
Don't get me wrong. I love Keri Russell. I used to watch Felicity every week. Yes, I used to watch Felicity. Go figure.
Which is really what you want to do in a third chapter is set up a whole bunch of new characters.
Yes, with no backstory, with no chance to develop them. And oh, for God's sake! I mean, there's just another misstep.
Well, and now
everything.
Go ahead.
Everything's gonna feel rushed now.
Well, and they got to clean up the mess. And we do have other casting news that kind of goes with this. They finally, I guess, confirmed, even though we've been talking about this for how long now, that that Lando Calrissian will return in Star Wars Episode 9. No surprise there. Yeah. Kind of figured they were setting some of that up with Solo, and being that he's one of the few members of the original crew to still be alive, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yes. You know, when I star in Episode 9, I'm gonna kick back with a nice, cold, refreshing Gold 45 malt liquor. Works every time. The perfect blend of smoothness and alcohol when you get done gas mining on the band of gas mines of Bespin. When you want to blast some stormtroopers over the side of a balcony when they fall to their deaths. You can't see the bottom no more. Gold 45 works every time.
Even in a galaxy far, far away.
Whether it's a galaxy far, far away or a bedroom really close to home.
There you go.
Colt 45 malt liquor works every time. So,
too far going on that, but yeah.
Yes, Well, hey, we got the appropriate thumbnail for that. So, Star Wars, Billy D. Williams reprising his role as Lando Calrissian. I think this came from Variety or Hollywood Reporter, whatever it is. Well, whoever it is. The actor is returning for Episode 9. Billy D. Williams is returning. Yeah, Billy D. Williams is returning to a galaxy far, far away. The actor who famously played Galactic Gambler Lando Calrissian will reprise the role for Star Wars Episode 9, the next Star Wars installment from Lucasfilm. Chatter about Williams joining the production, which begins later this summer, increased in recent days when the actor bowed out of an upcoming sci-fi and pop culture convention. Pop culture convention.
I thought it was a pop culture convention and found out it was a poultry convention, and I had to step out and have a Colt 45.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, he back down off that.
Saying that, Billy, because they pay me every time I do. Colt 45 works every time.
Yes, those Colt 45 checks really feel good in the old bank account. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, sources confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter that Williams will indeed be returning to the Star Wars big screen. That makes no sense. Proofread your fucking article. To the big screen for the first time since 1983's The Return of the Jedi. The character made his suave debut in The Empire Strikes Back. Williams has in recent years returned to the role that fuels his appearances on this Calrissian in various cartoons and video games. The character is one of the more popular personages in the Star Wars universe and appeared in a major way in this year's Solo: A Star Wars Story. Donald Glover slipped on the cape to play a younger Calrissian. Now, he played Liberace Calrissian. That's who he played. Episode 9 is being directed by J.J. Abrams. We reunite Daisy Ridley, like they went anywhere. Reunite Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Adam Driver, among others. Keri Russell is one of the new additions to the cast. The film opens on December 20th, 2019. So
they say.
Please. So they say.
They start
please.
Filming later this summer, right?
Yeah, please don't humiliate. Well, Rian Johnson isn't directing it, and so I would say, but please don't humiliate him. Please don't give him something interesting to do.
No, it's going to be pretty dumb. It's going to be him coming in and going, "I'm sorry to hear about Luke and Leia and Han."
You know, Han still owes me $20. Did any of you get his wallet before he fell over the ledge?
And if anybody needs me, I'll be in the Falcon. Literally.
Yes, in the Falcon. You know those ports that R2 plugs into. Those serve more than one purpose. You know.
Does anybody got any oil?
Bit of a tight squeeze for someone as well endowed as me, but there's ways we can make it work. Isn't that right, L3? Yeah, what do you know? So let's work together. I'm so in love with you. Yes, when I want to spend time with the Falcon, there's nothing like putting on a little Al Green. Jedi Master Al Green. Maybe Jedi Master Marvin Gaye, but trade little Otis as Otis 3PO was Otis Redding. But we have to sci-fi this up a little bit. Oh. Sitting, you know, he only had to make one small change to sitting on the dock of the bay because Tatooine has two suns.
That's
so
right.
He has to say sitting in the morning suns, plural.
That's the Tatooine mix.
Yes, sitting in the morning suns. Yeah, but there's no ocean on Tatooine, so
right.
You can't be sitting on the dock of the bay.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's docking in the bay. The ship bay.
Yes, he's docking in the bay.
All right,
where we keep plenty of Colt 45 malt liquor.
Let's just hope they're not bringing him back just to kill him. But yeah, that's some interesting casting news.
If they're gonna bring me back to kill it, I'm gonna say fuck all y'all. So
those two-faced bastards. Get what
I don't need that. I got plenty of the Colt 45 malt liquor money. I don't need this shit. Okay.
I got Batman money. All right. Let's move on to the next.
Did you ever see Lady Sings the Blues? I got that money too. That was a good movie. People won Oscars for that movie. I didn't.
miss Billy. I do.
I miss. Oh, you miss me, do you? How much do you miss me?
I miss you this much.
You know, Lawrence Kasdan and his son Jonathan said I'm a pandosexual, whatever that means. I saw you looking at me, Tom. I just want to know that Billy D. Williams doesn't go that way. You know, no matter what that
for you.
No matter what that little turd Jonathan Kasdan says, that little I think that boy has some issues. What do you think?
Not made out of enough scrap, evidently, for Pando. No. So, all right, let's move on to the next story. This is actually kind of it's a little story, but it's a big story, pun intended.
Little big story, yes. Ant-Man actually scored pretty big at the box office. They were projecting, I think, 80 million, but it came in at about 76. But
that's still nothing to bulk at. Why? And tell them why, Rob.
Because the last Ant-Man movie actually made 57 million, so it's a 33% increase, and it finished number one. Actually, the movies at the movies this weekend. Ant-Man. This goes actually from Variety, I believe. Ant-Man and the Wasp squashed competitions at the box office. The Marvel sequel starring Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly opened with $76 million. From 4,206 screens in North American locations. That start is significantly ahead of the original Ant-Man, which debuted with $57 million in 2015. I'm always tempted to say, instead of debuted, I'm always tempted to say debuted. Because it's spelled debuted.
Yeah, you said debut.
Ant-Man and the Wasp easily topped the weekend as fellow box office newcomer The First Purge scared up 17 million from 3,031 theaters. Meanwhile, The Incredibles 2 narrowly stole the number 2 spot from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The blockbusters earned $29 million and $28.6 million, respectively, over the 3-day period. Overseas, Ant-Man and the Wasp collected $85 million, taking the worldwide opening to $161 million. Across 20 movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has brought up in $17 billion globally. Bagillion, yes. Bagillion. Almost
like
all, yeah.
$17 bagillion.
All 20 titles have opened up number one at the box office. So production budget around $162 million. Ant-Man and the Wasp looks like another win for Marvel. The studio has had a string of box office hits in 2018 with Avengers Infinity War racking up over $2 billion and counting, and Black Panther passing $1.3 billion globally. So everyone who was hoping Ant-Man was going to fail, I'm sorry to break it to you. Actually, I'm not sorry to break it to you. You're going to have to wait until Captain Marvel to start saying that again.
And according to somebody in our chat, If You Smell says actually Jurassic pulled back ahead in actual numbers. I don't know how old this one you have in front of you is, but if that's the case, that's still pretty close for second place, and it makes Incredibles look really incredible because they're already 1 week more out from what Jurassic World was. So for them to still be pulling in that kind of numbers, it's pretty good for Pixar.
Yes, Pixar. Let me tell you, it's for Disney. Seems like Disney, the weakest link is Lucasfilm so far.
Well, if you don't count their own stuff.
Well,
like the Pirates movies and what they've done to the Muppets to this point.
I think Moana actually did pretty well though.
Well, yes, their animated films seem to be fairly hit or miss. But this is one thing I've always said though, and this is kind of a little off topic, but it does have to do with this is. Ever since they took John Lasseter, even though he's out now, but when they took him and made him not only the head of Pixar but the head of Disney Animation, it felt like he got spread kind of thin. And like to me, like Wreck-It Ralph is more of a Pixar movie than a Disney movie, even though it has the Disney banner. To me, that's a lot more like a Pixar movie than any other Disney movie is. And so to me, it was like a lot of those movies in that era were kind of like hybrids. But now that he's gone, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I just thought that was kind of interesting when that did kind of happen, but that way. But
yeah, you know, I keep forgetting that Disney drove the Muppets right into the ground. I keep forgetting.
Much. Well, then and I also look at like Frozen. that has a lot of Pixar elements to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I guess. Because like I said, I love the Muppets. It's just that franchise now just sitting there idle, pretty much idle, really.
Right. Well, they had a good first step. That movie with what's his face from Sarah Silverman. I always forget his name.
Jason Segel.
Or not Sarah Marshall. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's the movie. Jason Segel. Yes, thank you. The first one with him in it, that was okay, but then that second one, it had a great cast, but the movie sucked. And then the TV show was going okay, but then somebody decided to change showrunners, and it went even worse than it was before. So going from okay to bad, basically. So, yeah. Disney's hit or miss otherwise outside of Marvel, basically, and Pixar, yeah. That's the main point.
Yeah.
But we have got some more casting.
Yeah, we keep...
Or go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, but we keep saying there was a discussion today on the Facebook group about how there's some people who are sick of the Marvel formula. I'm like, what Marvel formula? I mean, making money, making good movies. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so horrible. Every movie is really entertaining. Well, I'm just sick of the Marvel formula. They need to change. I'm like, well,
I don't get that argument. That's one thing I don't see, because every movie is different. And what a lot of these people want is they just want every movie to be like Winter Soldier. Well, if that was the case, then there would be a formula. The reason we got movies like Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther is because they allowed those auteur directors to take some chances. Now, I don't think we would have ever got those two movies 5 years ago the way we did. Not a chance.
No. I keep saying there seems to be this whole thing. Certain people are just sitting there saying, "Must not smile, laughing wastes oxygen, must not smile." People are just really intense. Well, no, must be serious at all times.
What's sad is probably and if you bring up the other side, like DC, they cast one of the funniest guys in the group as Ben Affleck, and he's supposed to be the most serious guy in the group. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's a big problem. But,
yeah.
Anyway, we've gone off course here.
Ant-Man, okay, so anyway,
I got to see it. It was pretty good. It had some.
Yeah,
issues,
I'm gonna go see it this week. So at some point, so I'll give you my assessment of that.
My biggest gripe is there's just one incident in the earlier part of the movie that kind of sets stuff in motion that's like really makes you stretch your believability. And I know that's saying a lot in a movie about a guy who shrinks down to the size of an ant or large as a, King Kong. But the point is other than that, I wish it would have come out before Infinity War, because there's no reason it shouldn't have.
Yeah, I'm able to put the chat back up right now. Neil actually says the MCU movies are formulaic. That is the thing, but I genuinely think that the character writing is what makes these movies great in my view. But here's the thing. People say, "Oh, well, it's the Marvel formula." The Marvel formula is that they have directors come in. Directors do their own thing. I mean, it's not so much that it's Disney or Marvel telling them to do these things. They are allowing the directors enough room to do these things. That is the thing,
Well, and they're not having any diminishing returns whatsoever.
No,
none in sight. Even if you sit there and say, "Oh well, Ant-Man didn't gross nearly as much as whatever came before it." Well, yeah, but not everything's going to be Black Panther or the Avengers either. And Ant-Man,
I don't think they were.
You said, what, 35% better than the last one?
Yeah, like 35, 33%, yeah.
So, yeah, that just shows there's an upward swing. And this late in the game? That's crazy.
And for a movie for a movie about a character that nobody took seriously, that everyone says was going to be a failure the first time around, I think that's a win. So anyway, let's go on. Let's move on. We got another story here. Jeremy Renner is actually casting news. Jeremy Renner is joining Jamie Foxx in Todd McFarlane's Blumhouse Spawn. Spawn. What am I? That's all, folks. Spawn pick.
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
Catch the
that was actually pretty good. It was actually a pretty good show, actually. But anyway,
Canadian show.
Yeah. This is from Deadline. Jeremy Renner has been set to star alongside Jamie Foxx in Spawn, the Blumhouse film that marks the directorial debut of Todd McFarlane from his scripted adaptation of his comic book creation. In late May, Fox was set to play the title character, who started out in the comics as Al Simmons, a member of a CIA Black Ops team who is twice betrayed after being set up by his cohorts to be murdered with his corpse set aflame. Simmons is then double-crossed in hell. He is convinced to become a Hellspawn warrior in exchange for being able to be reunited with his wife, only to find himself stuck in his demonic creature shell, and that his wife has moved on and married his best friend. That sounds like a Jerry Springer show there. Spawn,
like, dude, don't be signing nothing else.
No, you got a bum deal. Spawn turns his rage on to street scum and revenge. He realized long ago that he can't battle the constant evil permeating the globe alone, and he must enlist the aid of humans to help him fight the war. Detective Twitch Williams has been the intelligence and intuition that Spawn needs the most. This unconventional detective is near fearless and complements Spawn's demonic powers. And it is that combination that will help Spawn win the war.
So it's Hawkeye as a cop?
Pretty much. Twitch is supposed to be... Twitch is supposed to be this sort of, I don't want to say nebbishy kind of guy, but he's sort of this very soft-spoken kind of detective. He's a crack shot, and he's actually a pretty hard-nosed detective. Yeah.
I vaguely remember the series and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, Todd McFarlane says, as a first-time director, I wanted to surround myself with the most talent and most skilled people I can on all fronts. I was lucky enough to land Jason Blum and then Jamie Foxx, and I knew that the person on screen is the police officer, Twitch Williams. We needed a strong person as possible because he will be the face of the film. I took my naive Hollywood approach again and said, let's start at the top and work down. Jeremy was at the top. I'm a huge fan of his. The character doesn't need to be a bodybuilder or GQ handsome. I was looking for somebody who's a person you've met before. I needed someone who could pull off the grief of an average human being. I've seen Jeremy do that in more than a few of his movies. He was at the top of my list, just like Jamie.
It would have been funnier if he's like, you know, I had this list, and at the top of it was Jeremy Renner. I'm like, that kid needs some work since I ain't seen him do much since that National Lampoon's movie, but no. Well, okay, so we got Electro, we got Hawkeye in a movie, okay.
So anyway, they don't have a distributor yet, so they're trying to find one, and the film is going to carry about a $10 to $12 million budget. Blumhouse does a lot of low budget movies.
It'll find a distributor. My guess is it'll either be Universal or something like that.
Lionsgate, maybe.
Yeah, they tend to do a lot with like Universal and stuff. But yeah, I'm not surprised. It's gonna get some more traction going forward here. It's like we said, it's inevitable. It's a comic book movie. It's fairly well known for how small of a comic it was originally. We've talked a little bit about it here and there, so we know we got some Spawn fans in the audience. So let us know what you think about the casting. And frankly, I've got no real comment other than okay. I like Renner. He's funny. He's good.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I got the chat back up running. We can actually take some questions.
All right.
From you guys. We have 74 people in the chat watching. Like to thank everybody.
An alarm or something on your end.
Yeah. Car alarms now are completely useless. And people used to say, nobody says anymore, "Oh my God, that car's being stolen. Somebody call the cops." They say, "Hey, turn that thing off." Oh, Willie Woodward, thank you for the $2 super chat. We appreciate that very much. Sorry you're wrong about the MCU. Happy to debate you on Facebook. Okay, well. All right, well, thank you. Well, okay, thank you.
Well, George, here's my thing with it. Everybody says it's formalic, but they don't really give you any formula. They don't tell you what the formula is that you mean by it's formalic. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, formula means I don't think it means I really don't think there's any other argument, because everyone says, "Oh well, this is going to be the first movie that flops," and when it does, and when it doesn't, they're just sticking to the Marvel formula. it's cookie cutter. It's no deviation from. I'm like, well,
I don't know. I don't get it.
I'll openly admit that the first Ant-Man movie is just Iron Man with Ant-Man.
No, but see, Ant-Man was actually like a heist movie though too.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's a heist. You know, they sort of started with the Iron Man template, and they worked in sort of a heist, the heist movie. And like I said, you know, and Captain America: Winter Soldier is a geopolitical thriller. Civil War is what would you call Civil War other than awesome?
Well, see, Civil War is just it's kind of a de facto Avengers movie in a way.
Yeah, it's Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, the fact that it's the only reason I think it's called Captain America film is because it carries over so many things from the Captain America franchise. Otherwise, it probably would have been an Avengers movie. But the reason they won't call it that is because it doesn't have Hulk or Thor in it. So yeah.
Yeah, Pierce Luigi said it's a revenge film. Neil says it's a 2.5 with a great Cap story. Barrel Bob says Doctor Strange is Iron Man with magic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. If we're gonna say, oh, here goes a fire engine.
To take you away, haha.
Hey, haha, they're going to. Yeah,
yeah.
If anything, I said we start with Iron Man as the template for a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and that the villain is offered a mirror image for the first guy, for the good guy.
Right, and they ran into a lot of that in Iron Man 2, where the same thing. And my gripe with Ant-Man and the Wasp, which wasn't a heist movie and was more of a chase film, I guess is a way of putting it. My only issue with that is they didn't need the quote unquote main villain. There was already enough going on that was an unnecessary addition, along with a few other things. But otherwise, I would say the movie had too many villains if it had any problem, and that's what I don't get. I don't know. Yeah. I really don't. I'm trying to understand the arguments though, because I want to understand where it's formalic, or it's
formulaic, yeah,
or formulaic.
George Beaton, formulaic, yeah. George Beaton says Civil War was okay, but Winter Soldier 3, if you count First Avenger, as stated in my reviews of those movies. Winter Soldier is my favorite. Civil War, I think, yeah, they're different. Yeah, for what I think, Civil War is the better written movie. If that sounds weird, Winter Soldier is the better overall movie.
Right.
I think Civil War it's close, but not quite. It's not quite Winter Soldier.
I had some issues with Baron Zemo and his plan. It was like one of those things in like these classic, I guess, quote unquote classic superhero movies where so many things are happenstance for their plan to work. But outside of that, Civil War did a lot of things that like Iron Man 2 wasn't able to do, and that was set up things that were going to be more important going forward, I think, than what were actually going on within that film. And that's what Iron Man 2 suffered from, was setting up all these other new characters that weren't really introduced before and stuff like that. Yeah.
Ichulu, they feel more like scenes that were well stitched together. Winter Soldier had a good flow of the plot and stood out because of that. Yeah. Neil says his top favorite, 5 top favorite films are Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Civil War, Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok.
See, I love Thor Ragnarok. I understand why some people have some issues with that, but to me it was both a Kirby comic mixed with a 70s sci-fi B movie, and it's meant to be goofy.
Alexander Wilson says he says he thinks Black Panther was the best written Marvel movie. I still haven't seen Black Panther.
See, now to me, Black Panther was one of the ones that was probably the most forward, and if you want to say it was formulaic or whatever, that one I would agree with, because it has a lot of the similar basic ABC superhero plot points. It's smaller leveled, but it's still one of those things with, like, you meet the bad guy, the good guy is not sure if he wants to be the hero, the bad guy and him have to duke it out, the end. You know what I mean? It's pretty straightforward. Or the bad guy has him ousted, whatever, same thing. But yeah, the basic hero's journey.
If anything, if you want to think about it, Spider-Man: Homecoming was the least formulaic Marvel movie, if there is such a thing.
Looking
because
back on
it's
it,
not
it was
about
the biggest chance.
Yeah, because it's not the typical, save the world, there's these huge stakes. It's Peter, it's a very kind of personal thing between Peter and Adrian Toomes.
Well, it was like doing a Batman movie without showing the Waynes die, because we didn't really get to know Uncle Ben at all, who was an integral part of the character.
Ben lives matter.
Right.
I always say.
But I mean, there's that whole thing. Well, we've gone too long on one question. Let's go on to another question. We got so many.
Well, Dova Eagle says Age of Ultron was the worst Marvel movie. I don't think it was the worst. No. I don't think it was the worst. I think it was good for what it was. I like the idea of Ultron being sort of all the negative aspects of Tony Stark's arrogance and hubris personified.
My problem with Age of Ultron is we only got to see about 2/3 of the movie, I think. I think a good chunk of it wound up on the cutting room floor. That's my issue with that movie. But my two least favorite Marvel movies are probably Iron Man 2 and Thor Dark World.
Yeah.
Still.
Oh, yeah.
They're the two
Neil
least.
has a question. Neil, why do snobs, people gripe about superhero movies and how they're ruining Hollywood when they are the ones supporting the box office? Because they're not making them. That's why.
9 times out of 10. That or they're just... You know, the superhero movies are like the old westerns or the old sci-fi horror films used to be, you know, in the 50s. It's they're kind of like the latest thing, but they've been the latest thing now for 2 decades. This is the first time a trend like this since the western has happened in Hollywood filmmaking outside of your standard genre. You know, drama, comedy, thriller, and whatever.
And there was a time where westerns were a license to print money. There were over 150 westerns at their peak being released per year.
Oh yeah.
You know, granted, not all of them were good. And there's maybe at the most there's 4, maybe 5 being superhero movies being released, but they outgross everything.
Yeah, that's just it. It's like. Everybody's acting like this is an oversaturation, but like Rob just said, that's a very good point. You couldn't even throw a rock and you'd had 3 westerns opening up on a weekend, you know. So it's like no big thing. It hasn't gotten to that point yet. Do I think it will ever get to that point? No, because they're too goddamn expensive to produce.
Yeah.
Will we see a lot of smaller ones like Spawn and stuff like that spawn up? Pun intended. Yeah, that'll happen. We've already seen that here and there. The other ones they've tried. You know, they've had some successes, some not so successes when it comes to that. It's a pick and choose when it comes to these characters because not everybody knows, you know, who some of these smaller characters are. Yeah, sure, a lot of people know who Hellboy or Spawn or Kick-Ass are, but they don't know who some of these other smaller titles, even DC characters and Marvel characters, some of the smaller ones they don't know. And why Ant-Man is such a big deal is because it's not a character that everybody took seriously at first.
Yeah. Ichulu said, "Not horror in the not 80s horror." I mean, horror movies were always big. They were always big.
Never 60s, it's never really gone 50s, style.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
The thing that horror changes is the times and the type of horror. It went from gothic to slasher to now we're in this haunted horror. I guess. I don't know.
In the 70s, the splatter movies were huge because they were cheap to produce.
That was like that ushered in the slasher movies of the 80s. But yeah, like I said, then there was a transition into this everybody haunted movie.
Yeah, I mean, how many? I mean, nowadays, one that said there's a party, and you know, somebody's killing kids at a party, teenagers at a party. Somebody at the party is going to have a gun on them. I mean, so that movie's going to end really, really fast. C. Katani 28. If Disney will continue to decline, will they go bankrupt? Disney's not declining. Disney's not really. I mean, yeah, they're having problems. They have some problems, but they're really. I mean, the overall. I mean.
If they were going to go bankrupt, they were going to do it 10, 20 years ago.
They were going bankrupt in the 90s.
Well, not just then, but I did one of my first videos I did for YouTube on the whole movie channel stuff was I did the top 20 highest grossing films of all time by the amount compared to what it cost to make them, their budget, and how much they grossed in percentage wise. And then I also did the biggest flops of all time. And within the top 10, I think 7 of them were big Disney movies like John Carter from Mars, Mars Needs Moms. All these movies they spent, you know, Lone Ranger. They spent $200-300 million on and only made, you know, jack squat at the box office.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Draven G, do you think we will get our first trailer for Godzilla 2 by the end of the month? Maybe, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you. Hard to say.
Definitely get it before the end of the summer. That's for sure. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, Arcane Flash. How do you think Luke will be treated in episode 9? Horribly. Luke should be alive.
I think JJ has more love for Luke than Ryan did.
I think JJ has more love for Star Wars than Ryan.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about him, yeah.
Black Claw 2. What are your thoughts on Billy D. Williams confirmed for episode? Well,
Rewind.
I feel really fine about being on episode 9 with my Colt 45 malt liquor. Works every time. So, no, not Billy D. Williams.
Drinking a light Colt 45 to get through
it. Yeah. Okay. Nick W. Midnight Edge After Dark. Did you hear Ryan Johnson was discussing Gamergate on Twitter? Is it time for Lucasfilm to make a
heard about that. I heard it actually got spawned off of something Mundane Matt said, I guess, or something.
I don't want to talk about Gamergate. I really. Yeah. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. I don't want. I deliberately spent time avoiding Gamergate. JJ's trying to put the genie back in the bottle and won't succeed. If I'm wrong, I'll eat crow, but it's too late. Yeah, I think it's too late. Lady Una, I think Disney has too many intellectual properties.
Oh yeah, they did
to go bankrupt
back in the 80s too. When what's his face? His name just escaped me.
Michael Eisner.
Thank you. We said Jinx yummy as Coke. Michael Eisner. Yeah, he about ran the fucking company into the ground. So many bad movies. It was like the adult side of the business was keeping them afloat in the 80s more so than. Like Katzenberg, the shit he was bringing in was making all the money.
But then they had like a string of animated hits, though. They had like they got back to like the traditional 2D animation, right. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast,
late 80s, early 90s, at the very tail end of Eisner's reign. Yeah. But again, those I think were Katzenberg movies, because that's why he got pissed, because he left and went over with DreamWorks and all that stuff. So it's like, there was a time, and it's not like Disney's bulletproof, but they're one of the oldest still running studios in Hollywood. So outside of the big four, I think it is, that are still around, Universal, Fox, Warner, and them, I think are all the original. Yeah. Oh, and MGM. But MGM is barely a pale comparison to what it used to be.
Paramount.
That was, I think they were one of the originals too. So, I mean, that's just really, it's like it's become, those guys are the only ones who are left anymore. They've soaked up all the little guys.
Slithering Peanuts. Sorry, Tom. It all comes back to Gamergate. GG was about accountability and reporting. And since then, the big box news agencies realized there was no point in pretending to be unbiased. Here's the thing about Gamergate. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. Here's the thing about Gamergate. If it was about journalistic ethics, then why did nobody say shit when the guy who reviewed Kane and Lynch for GameSpot got fired after Eidos bought a bunch of advertising on their site? And that was a good 6 or 7 years before Gamergate.
I have no comment on Gamergate.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't give a shit about Gamergate. For those people, and for those who are like, oh my God, Rob doesn't care about game. Like, I don't want to take up my brain power with Gamergate. I'm sorry.
I mean,
if that's your cause, then great, fine. But I don't care. I don't care. I mean, there's such a thing. Movie Bob actually did a video about it. He said, all those people back in the 90s when Senator Joe Lieberman was trying to get Mortal Kombat banned. Yeah. I mean, they fought there, and we left all those weapons out in the battlefield. We won the war, but we lost the peace. Now everybody took that anger that was supposed to be directed at fighting for their thing, and he directed it at places where it should have been directed.
Well, I guess to draw any kind of comparison here, from what I can tell, is the media. In this, I hate to bring it back to this whole Star Wars thing and all that kind of crap. But yeah, with the media spinning the whole man babies bullshit right now, it gets old, and it's the same kind of thing, I guess, in a way. Because, you can't trust most of the general media, and we say that all the time, and that's why we try to go with as many different sources as we can, unless you get something officially from the horse's mouth. It's very difficult to pinpoint something and say, oh yeah, that's legit. Run into it all the time. Mm-hmm. So, frankly, that's really the only comparison I could really draw at this point between what we report here, kind of close to anything we're talking about as far as Disney. But yeah, no, it's just it's one of those things that.
Well, Slithering Peanut says GameSpot is well known for not being a trustworthy site because of then, but nobody said shit about it back then. That was the thing. Where were you people back in 2007? If this was such a huge problem, it would have been a big deal. But it had to wait until Zoe Quinn cheated on her boyfriend, and he had tried to get even with him. That's. I mean, no. Oh, well, she's trying to get a favorable review for her game. She was giving away the game for free. She was giving away the game for free. For free. It wasn't going to make a difference. Like I said, I don't want to waste my brain space thinking about this. And I keep saying, imagine if all the people were invested in Gamergate, imagine if they were all working to get us health care. We have Medicare for all by now.
Right.
Okay, that's all I want to say about this.
Okay, Alexander Wilson says Eisner was the CEO from Disney to 8405. He helped build the foundation of Disney now. Yeah, but he did it on the shoulders of Katzenberg and Pixar and stuff like that. That's how he built that. But I won't deny that once he left, it was a shaky start for the company again after a change of venue. But he was also way ahead of the studio way too long. Way too long. They had way too many misfires under his reign, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad when like a lot of their smaller portions of the studio were doing much better in a lot of ways. All right, let's see if we can find something else to talk about here besides Gamergate and toxic fans. There was a question up here. Lakta asks, "What do you guys think about Legendary Pictures making a live Gundam movie?" That's one for you, Rob.
Yes. Oh God, I love Gundam, but I think eventually it was gonna come around eventually. Somebody was gonna make a Gundam movie. They've been kicking around the idea of a Gundam movie since the 80s.
Right. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. So eventually they were gonna get to it. Could be good now with CGI, but it's. And there's going to be people screaming, "Oh, why isn't this actor Japanese? Why isn't this guy Asian? Why isn't this that?"
Because Nicolas Cage said yes.
If it's going to be a Western adaptation, yeah.
No, I'm just making shit up. But no.
Yeah. It's true. I hope they do the original Gundam. I mean, that's going to be but the thing is, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be really expensive just to scale everything. I don't know. Do you know anything about Gundam, Tom?
I'm not.
Mobile Suit Gundam?
I know a little bit, but not much. Not much. I probably know more about the whole comparison with, was it Metal Gear or whatever?
Robotech or
Robotech stuff. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But man has man has migrated into space, and they live in these huge cylindrical space colonies called sides. And now there is a war of one of them is fighting a war of independence against the rest of what they call the Earth Federation. It's just like these huge it's gonna be it would have to be these huge set pieces. I mean, it looks like it would be expensive, and like one of the big set pieces is one of these colonies gets dropped onto Sydney, Australia, and obliterates the city. It creates a hole, a crater about 500 square miles. Yeah, crikey is right. I mean, there's a great scene in one of them, Gundam 083 Stardust Memory, where they're flying over the ocean. He goes, "When are we going to get to Sydney Harbor? We're over right now." This is where the colony fell. Yep, that ocean you see is where used to be Sydney Harbor, right. And they showed the whole like a nuclear bomb wipes it out. It was the largest. They called the largest man-made hole on Earth.
I think it'd do all right. I don't know if it'd do great looking at things like Pacific Rim, but it's got a little bit more recognizability, or it's more recognizable than that, I guess, for lack of a better word. I can't think of a better word than that, but yeah.
Yeah, Slytherin Peanuts. Sorry, Rob. It's just the big box news agency. A big box news agency it's not the big box news agency. It's people like sci-fi.com. It's people like IndieWire. It's those people. Those people have an agenda. That's that. It's not the big box. It's not NBC. It's not ABC. It's not CBS. It's not CNN. It's not MSNBC. It's not. You know. It's the people. Like I said, it's the people who write blogs on Twitter. It's the Donna Dickens of the world. It's CBR. It's those people. Like I said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. So
we need more movies with giant robots. Yes, we do, Dova Eagle. No, nothing wrong with that. And giant monsters too.
If anything, Ready Player One showed us probably what it could look like.
Right. Well, that is true. Slytherin Peanut. ABC is owned by Disney, but that's why we always try to go with multiple sources and try to find the spin in why a specific group may want to try and spin a certain story. And just like with Ghostbusters and into now with the same thing with Lucasfilm / Disney, is that they're trying to make this spin that there's these hordes of racist white male bastards out there trying to kill your favorite franchise because they don't like women's or coloreds. And that's really what they're trying to push. It's an agenda. And it's a bunch of horse shit. Because it has nothing to do... Because otherwise, why would we be sitting here going, you know, like basically relishing in the fact that we're going to get more Lando Calrissian, not Pando, but real Lando Calrissian. We've never had a problem before. That's the issue that it's at hand, and they're making it an issue. And I mean, I don't want to get into the whole gamer side of that part, but as far as how this argument goes with the movies and stuff is same thing. And Star Trek is a glaring example because Star Trek has always been diverse, and now calling attention to it is just grandstanding, and then you're doubling down on bullshit when you turn around and say, oh, you just don't like it because you're racist or you're a Trump supporter or any other nonsense that they throw at you because they have no argument for the shit they're peddling you. Basically. Okay, rant over.
Okay. Katani 28. Any thoughts on the Disney Toon Studios closure? Probably they're gonna. I don't know. They've made some good. Anytime scaling back ain't like that, see people lose their jobs. It's always terrible.
I think I lost you, Rob.
Disney Toon Studios closure.
Oh, the cartoon studios, like the television show side, or their
well, just as Disney Toon Studios.
Yeah, I'm not sure which part of that is. Yeah. I heard something.
We'll look into it and get back to you. Pierce Loogie, is there any news on the Cure movie or canned? As far as I know, it's still happening.
Yeah, last I heard.
Yeah. Got a Dark Slayer. Okay. Holy hell. Alexander Wilson, what do you think of the AT&T making HBO more like Netflix?
Not surprised. Because I'm sure HBO Go or whatever service is probably one of the bigger ones. Especially because of like Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Come on, a few more questions here, guys. Okay, come on, a few more questions here, guys. Don't make me have to sing.
Sing, Rob, sing, dance like I'm on
DVD. A few shows for sing, monkey, sing.
Yeah. Okay, Disney Toon Studios.
Disney Toon Studios, live action.
Those crappy things, then I'm not too worried about it. I hate most of those direct-to-video sequels. They're horrible. I don't remember them being any good.
Any more news about Stanley? No.
Why? What's going on with Stanley now?
Well, there's...
You're cutting out, Rob.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Something changed?
I have no idea.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Is Watchmen...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we always like seeing Stanley. We always hope Stan as well.
You had a question?
Pierce Loogie. Yes, is Watchmen for HBO going to be a hit or miss? I think it's going to be a miss.
more I hear about it, it sounds like a miss. And then kind of related above that, Neil asks, would you guys like to see more R-rated animated movies? Hell yeah. I love R-rated animated movies.
Depends on what they are.
Well, I like the old Bakshi and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to see, if I want to watch anime, I'll just watch anime or manga or whatever kind of crap. But I'm not into that. But I do like the old sword and sorcery type movies they used to do back in the 80s, and heavy metal, all that good stuff. Fritz the Cat. I love that shit.
Yeah. Doomed Huh, do you think they'll make any Star Trek announcements at SDC? Yes, they got a big thing for Hall H planned. So I think there's going to be something planned for there's going to be something planned for Comic-Con.
They're going to try and push it, that's for sure.
They want to get in ahead of that Viacom-CBS merger. Thoughts on Salacious Crumb standalone movie?
You do a much better one than I did. Holy cow.
Salacious Crumb, that little guy. Where could you possibly go with a Salacious Crumb movie?
He had a hell of a past, man. How do you think he got to that point?
J 2.0, do you think Western films will make a comeback? Maybe.
Not like
the thing is, the farther. Here's the thing: the more globalized the film industry gets, the farther we get away from that era.
Right.
Because the Wild West era ended maybe around the turn of the last century.
Right, and not only that, it seems like the only times the Western comes back in style is whenever Clint Eastwood decides to make one. That's about it. It's like the only Westerns that make any money. It's just like horror. The gothic horror went out of style, so like the modern movies became the action movies, and we do a lot of movies set in the 60s, 70s and stuff now. I guess that'd be the equivalent of a lot of Westerns back then. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, Rob, but
yeah. We had a brief flirtation with with blaxploitation movies coming back. Undercover Brother, that kind of thing. Soul Plane. So who knows? We get ages with movies. Pierce Lugie. Random game. Western trend. Lok Ta. Have you seen Psychopaths? No, I haven't. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. I want to now, though, whatever it is.
I thought that was the name of Gus Van Sant who redid Psycho? I thought that was the name of his. Psycho?
No, okay.
Oh, not the original? Pass.
Dark Slayer 289. How stagnant is Hollywood's creativity? Everything is being either rebooted, remade, with hundreds, even thousands of scripts just lying around. What genre would you like would break the creative funk? That's just an interesting question. I keep saying that Hollywood always goes through these eras of being creatively bankrupt, and then something comes along, and everybody has to do that.
Yeah, that's usually the trend of the times. Hollywood, when it comes to spending the big bucks, they're not going to take any chances anymore. You're not going to see a lot of, Neil just brought up Blade Runner. You're not going to see a lot of movies like the original Blade Runner where they're going to spend a lot of money on a movie that's not going to be well tested, or a big franchise, or they know is going to be able to sell, because kids know who the Chipmunks are. They don't know who, some brand new creation that nobody's ever seen before is. So, of course, the studio's going to go with that before they're going to go with the no-name thing. Same thing goes with all these scripts that are just sitting there collecting dust. Someday, if they're good enough, somebody will turn them into a Die Hard movie.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Remember, Kramer. Remember my coffee table book's been optioned for a movie. Yeah. Pierce Lugie, and he said, "Remember this other book?" Yeah, Die Hard. Pierce Lugie, who in your opinion is the worst movie critic? Jay Sherman. It stinks. No. There's this guy who used to be a syndicated movie critic named, his name was actually Roger Moore, and he used to be based out of Orlando, Florida. Well, he was in the Orlando Sentinel a lot, but he's to syndicate around, and he was terrible. He hated everything, and he used to actively argue with fans on Twitter and on his website and on his blog, and he would tell people about oh geez, you're saying this isn't, when superheroes started to take off, he used to say, you think it's all about Man of Steel? So he was talking about Man of Steel. Oh, well, try reading a real book. I'm like, hey man, come on, you're arguing with this is not cool, man. That's but anyway, Roger Moore was a terrible critic. Jeffrey Lyons was a terrible critic, I thought, because all he liked was foreign movies. Can you name any bad critics?
Huh?
Any bad critics?
I was gonna say, I mean, I think that John Campy is usually way too forgiving on some shit, and then the shit that he picks to pick on, he's hypocritical in a lot of ways when it comes to his criticism. And what pissed me off about him is when he started yelling at people about, like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. And it's like, but yeah, he's the guy who's preaching that we're all supposed to love and blah, blah, blah movies. And some people are, like I say that too, but I'm actually cool about it. If I disagree with somebody, I try to have a civil conversation with them till they start bringing in yo mama jokes. It's like, come on, we're not going to do the schoolyard bullshit. If you have a legitimate gripe or you have a legitimate argument or if you whatever, especially now with this whole Star Wars thing going on, you run into that all the time, and I'm kind of in the middle on a lot of it. It's like some of it I disagree with, some of it I agree with, some of it I understand how people like you feel about certain things that don't bother me, but then there's other things that we all agree with, and that is that Carrie Poppins was one of the dumbest decisions in history.
Oh, man.
So yeah, it was just, I don't know. Fandom. What are you going to do?
Yeah. 101 Dark Guys 101. Do you think Billy Williams will have a major role in episode 9, or will he have just a cameo? I don't know. I really don't know.
I hope it's more than what I predicted earlier, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be much.
Yeah. The Smoking Dog. Do you think the Last Starfighter sequel will be good, or would it be a dumpster fire? I'm hoping it'll be good.
I'm hoping so. I got hopes for it. That's one of those franchises that never lived up to its potential. There's lots of that out there, but
yeah, the universe definitely could be expanded.
Oh yeah.
Ichulu. What happened to the Rocketeer remake?
Haven't heard anything new on it, but
no.
That's just it. If it's a comic book, stuff like that, they're gonna try. It's inevitable. Some of this
Pierce Loogie
is too overdue, I guess, is one way of putting it. But
Pierce Loogie, are there any YouTube critics you like or dislike? I kind of used to like Movie Bob, but he kind of went. I understand the appeal of YouTube critics, but to me, I don't know. I kind of like the traditional critics, like Richard Roper. Like those kind of guys.
I was gonna say Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel, Leonard Maltin. They're like my, more, I guess. Yeah,
I understand the idea. I understand why people like critics, because they feel, I feel like it's me. They're one of us. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I would like somebody who's has a little bit more informed opinion.
Who was that goofy fucker who used to be on was it ABC or CBS or NBC? I can't remember which. Gene Shalit. He was pretty good. I used to like him. Yeah, he always come up with some goofy puns and shit. He's kind of funny sometimes. There was just, when we were growing up, there wasn't a ton of them. Basically the 4 or 5 big ones we named already, and that was about it. Yeah, Rex Reed,
yeah. You'd have every station would have their own. Every TV station would have their own version of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They would have their own Gene Shalit. They would have their own Rex Reed. They would have their own Roger Ebert. They would have their own Gene Siskel. Yeah. There's a guy on my local station named Vinny Penn. He's a comedian. He does movie reviews for on the Fridays. Leonard Maltin. Leonard Maltin is good. Leonard Maltin is very good. I mentioned
him. Yeah, he's one of my favorites. Yeah. Still good.
Leonard Maltin.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still working.
Yeah, very good. Very interesting guy to listen to.
Cameo in Gremlins too. For some reason, they're re-releasing the movie Gremlins. I don't know why.
Yeah. Dova Eagle. What did you think of Jurassic World? I haven't seen it.
I hated it. I'm sorry. Jurassic World 2 was worse though. No. The first one was okay, I guess, or fourth one, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I haven't liked a Jurassic Park movie since Lost World, so.
Okay. All right, we're running up here on an hour. Let's take a few more questions. We'd like to thank, we got 79 people watching us in the chat. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Oliver Harper's another good one, yeah.
I keep saying the thing about, like I said, the thing about people like Angry Joe is, yeah, okay, what he does is fine, but it's a lot of it is, it seems like it's shticky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, am I watching somebody do a bit here, or am I watching movie criticism?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Ichulu, when Dread comes out, Andre better do a review together. Okay.
Richard.
Did I miss ST Fanboy? Did I miss some Disney Star Wars bashing?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
What Kitani 28, Leia Poppins could have been the best death scene, do you think?
Yeah, it
could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have really
I'm not lying. I almost started fucking crying until she opened her fucking eyes. I'm not kidding. The first time in the theater, I'm like, oh, this is it. They're doing it, you know?
Oh, man.
Started tearing up, getting a little misty there. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah. Gilar Veer, if Disney went full R for their feature movies, would that be a bold enough choice to compete with Marvel? No. No, it would not.
They don't all necessarily have to be R.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Oh, well, and the whole thing, people mistake something being R-rated for being mature, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just puerile. And that's a word I don't get to use very much.
That's a good word, because I think it was also a soap in the 90s, but... Or am I thinking of Perel? I don't know. Anyway, point being, yeah, it's like necessarily... Okay, a Howard the Duck movie probably should be rated R. The PG version didn't work out too well.
Deadpool?
Deadpool, yeah. But does Spider-Man? No. Captain America? No.
Batman? Not necessarily. Could work as an R movie, but...
That's just it.
Could,
there's those ones that have that fine line. Yeah.
But it's not necessary.
Not necessary.
Green Lantern? No. I mean, you could even...
Well, like in mature themes, you know, to kind of go off what Anthony Terry's trying to make a point out of there, I don't think Animal House was mature. No, but...
But that was the point! Yeah, that was the point! It wasn't mature!
Within it. You know, it doesn't necessarily... You don't need any adult themes in Ant-Man. Ant-Man could have been PG. I don't know why. If it was rated PG-13, I'd be surprised. Really, there was nothing in Ant-Man, even the newest one, I mean, that constituted being PG-13. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everything has to be full of, you know, F words and dark, bloody gore and violence. It just, if it calls for it, like a Ninja Turtle movie.
Yeah. Ninja Turtles might kick ass as an R-rated movie.
They were darker originally.
Yes. That was all based on Frank Miller's
Very
Daredevil.
Dark humor.
Oh, yeah. Neil says, do you think that King Arthur in movie form is box office poison? If so, do you see mythological epics as being box office poison? But here's the thing about mythological epics like King Arthur: they're very expensive to make.
Well, not just that, they keep doing them, and I don't know why, because none of them seem to be a hit ever. When was the last King Arthur film that we had that was a hit? Excalibur?
Maybe Excalibur. Yeah.
I mean,
it wasn't. I don't think it was a hit in this country.
And yeah, same thing with all the Robin Hoods and all that kind of stuff. It's like we've done this and seen this a million times, but Hollywood is always going to go back to that well because we know what it is. And then we got another Robin Hood coming out already, even though I don't remember the Russell Crowe version being all that great. So I don't know.
Gotta love the public domain.
I love mythological epics, though. Don't get me wrong, but there's so much more than King Arthur. That's the other problem. It's like, why do we have to constantly keep re-seeing the same fucking mythological stories over and over again? There's so much more out there that has never been touched.
Anthony Altieri, Star Wars was a Knights of the Round Table story, really. Actually, A New Hope was actually Fellowship of the Ring. If you watch both those movies, if you read A Fellowship of the Ring and you watch Star Wars, A New Hope, it's actually the same story.
Well, I did try to get the rights to Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you know that or not, Rob. But
no, I didn't know that, George.
They said no, so I had to make Willow instead. But I think Willow is the superior film to Lord of the Rings.
You think so, dude?
I do. That Gollum creature scares me.
He should. I actually have the Sauron, the eyes that lights up. It's sitting back up on.
I got one that's in a snow globe.
Yeah, if I ever get a webcam, I'll try them out and put them on the webcam. Yeah. Let's see. A couple more questions, guys. We're over an hour. 79 people joining us. Thank you very much for joining us, as always. So let's take a few more questions, and we'll call this a night.
Planning to see Hotel Transylvania 3? No, I'm not, J 2.0, because I didn't like the first one. I see Random Game User did, but no. Sandler lost. I lost my taste for Sandler a while back, even though I used to love him when I was younger. But
since Alexander Wilson, since you mentioned Lord of the Rings, how will it go on Amazon? That's hard
Peter
to
Jackson's
say.
Not involved, last I heard. So we didn't cover that. But
the big guns. Looks like the big guns. Speaking of big guns, fire engines come by. No offense, but why don't you stream through the main Midnight's Edge channel, which has 6 times the subscribers? Tom, why don't you
trust us? I don't know. Because Midnight's Edge is actually meant more for the formal type videos. The closest you're going to get to this is like a round table. And even those are heavily edited to where we cut out a lot of the goofiness and stuff like that sometimes. So After Dark's meant for the more loose, laid back, and not to like clutter up. He wanted to have 2 separate channels. Andre did, to mainly so he didn't want to clutter up Midnight's Edge with so much stuff. So.
Pierce Loogie, have you guys watched Glow or any other Netflix original series that people should watch? The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is really good. I haven't watched Glow, even though I do love Alison Brie. Oh, I love her. Or as I call her,
Netflix.
Or as I call her, the future Mrs. Gallo.
Willie Woodward so hated the Russell Crowe one. I never seen it. It's the last Robin Hood I liked would either be the what I was gonna say Kurt Russell. It's not Kurt Russell. It's Kevin Costner, and other than that would be the Disney one from back in the day.
Yeah. All right, come on, guys. Let's how many? Let's take a few more. I know I keep saying that, but we're gonna wrap it up here soon, guys. Like I said, we're over an hour. Thank you for everybody for joining us. 74 people watching. Did you see Escape from L.A. TLJ comparison? I haven't seen this. I haven't seen it in years,
and I can see the comparison there. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty common. That's why I think I disliked it so much, because it's one of those common, overused kind of things in movies. I mean, that's even Escape from LA is not the only movie to use that. Superman 2 used that. The whole projection thing. It's a best Robin Hood movie. Men in Tights. I stand corrected, Max. I forgot about that one.
We're men, many men, we're men. It's all
tights.
What's coming with
Mel Brooks movie too?
Yeah.
Dracula didn't do it for me. Sorry.
What's coming up in theaters that you are looking forward to end on a good note?
Not a lot till Halloween for me. I don't think, unless I'm missing something.
Oh, we're talking about best Robin. Talk about my first exposure to Mel Brooks was. Let me just talk about, since we got a couple minutes here. Hold on. After Dark. Have you guys seen Won't You Be My Neighbor? No, I have to find where it's playing in my area.
Yeah, I live in a very rural area, so that's tough for me. I'm gonna have to wait till it comes on streaming somewheres.
Yeah. Like I said, my first exposure to Mel Brooks wasn't Blazing Saddles. It was High Anxiety, which I thought was pretty good. I freaking love the song High Anxiety. Whenever you're near, high anxiety, it's you that I fear. My heart begins to soar. I was like, I love that. Mel Brooks actually can write some pretty good music. Key change, high anxiety.
Too bad.
He actually
I didn't care for the producer's musical, but yeah.
Yeah. My God Pigeon, my parents saw Blazing Saddles thinking it was a real Western stationed in Alaska.
He rode a blazing saddle.
Anthony Altieri, here's a fun question. How would Blazing Saddles look if we were made today? It would be all improv. They wouldn't make it, and it would be all improv.
They could
never. It would be...
ever make it today.
No.
I'm surprised SJWs haven't tried to erase it because they don't get it.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Comedy, I hate saying this, but they have killed comedy. They really have. I don't even think they would I don't think you could even make Airplane today.
Oh no. I think a new Spaceballs movie, Smoking Dog, would be difficult, even though I'd love to see another one, especially if they can get Rick Moranis out of retirement.
Yeah. Let me see.
That animated series was horrible, though. The Spaceballs animated series. Oh,
I'm still waiting on History of the World Part 2.
No shit, right?
Even though I think that was part of the joke.
I love that movie. I now have the 10 commandments.
Alex God. Alex, God, I hate improv movies. It's an excuse for directors to be lazy. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about improv movies. It's not that they're being lazy. It's just that I honestly think they don't know how to write a bit.
See, here's the other misconception: is a lot of times when they say, "Oh, we improv that," or "We made it up on the set." When you have a difference between a Paul Feig improv movie and a Mel Brooks improv movie, he has 6 writers, Mel Brooks does, sitting on the side going, okay, we'll work that into the script. They rework it into the script, and then you work it as a script. You don't just sit there and make the shit up. I guarantee you 99% of what you see on screen in a Mel Brooks movie was scripted, whether it was made up on the day or not, because he is very meticulous about that stuff. They don't just fuck around with that. Comedy is a very difficult thing to get right. It's all about timing and pace and how it's going to edit. You don't just sit there and willy-nilly it like Paul Feig, or you're going to get shit like Ghostbusters.
Yeah. And like, there's a difference between this is Spinal Tap was largely improv. Too.
Yes, but they also set up the scene to where they knew what they were going to talk about. They had an overall arc.
Yeah.
They had, I mean, just because it was a lot of it was improvised, they still had setups as far as they knew ahead of time what they were going to be getting themselves, Yeah. And it was edited to I'm sure there's hundreds. Well, we already know there's like an hour of deleted scenes and stuff that would, even though it was not as good as the stuff, some of it I thought was as good as, but that was in the movie. It's like, this is also what happens too, is you can lose some of the best stuff because it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah. Random game user, the SJW trend seems far worse than the religious backlash against Life of Brian or the Jesus movies to me. Yeah, it does seem worse. Slytherin Peanut.
Confession time, my favorite Monty Python movie is not Holy Grail.
It's Life of Brian.
It is.
I'm Brian of Nazareth.
That movie.
Romans. What have the Romans ever done for us? The aqueduct. All right, the aqueduct.
Yeah, well, they did that. Yeah.
Security. All right, security.
Yeah, that's just true. That's true.
Roads.
Oh yeah, roads. Can't live without roads. Yeah.
Buildings.
Plumbing.
Education. Plumbing. All right.
Besides all that.
Okay. Actually, Slytherin Peanut. Will the Orville save Captain Rob's sanity from Star Trek Discovery?
Yes.
We have. Yes, and that's coming along. Stay tuned for more of that.
Put more pressure on me than there already was, but yeah. Hello.
How could they make? Yeah, I'm sorry. How could they make G.I. Joe movie with Dreadnoks? I don't know. Dreadnoks would be pretty easy to do, but it would look a lot like Mad Max.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm dead to you now, Anthony Altieri. Is that because Holy Grail isn't my favorite Monty Python movie? It's a close second.
Random Neil, random game user, the reason why anime mom. popularity. Japan and Asia do not give a crap about that stuff. The storytelling is big. See, what they do is they come up with a thing first in Japanese anime manga, and then they try to market it. Here they market it, and then they try to come up with, and then try to fill a story around it. They do it we do it backwards. Right. Willie Woodward said you a post about on Facebook about the MCU formula. I'll check that out. Come on, a few more questions, guys, before we call it a night, and I go back to watching the news and crying. Okay, Tom, I'll let it go this time. Fusion says hello. Thank you for joining us, Fusion. 61 people watching in the chat. Thank you very much for sticking around with us. Okay, come on. Well, okay. All right, we got no more questions.
All right.
We got no more. All right. Well, okay. We're gonna have one more question, guys. Make it a good one. Probably from someone we haven't heard before.
Otherwise, I'm gonna sit here and talk about Willow some more.
Yeah. Yes.
Mad Mardigan is probably the best character I've ever done. Willow only worked.
Anthony out.
Mardigan.
Okay. Anthony Altieri, what would you like to see remade that they couldn't make today?
That they couldn't make today? Like, I suppose kind of going off the whole Blazing Saddles thing. That's the thing. I don't generally like remakes. So anything they would have made back then it just wouldn't make any difference. Just leave it kind of thing, I guess.
No.
I just don't think they could do blaxploitation like they used to do anymore. I don't think you could do the grindhouse type thing like you used to anymore. There was just even as sleazy as that stuff was, there was an innocence to it then compared to now.
Even like stuff like Russ Meyer movies, like the sexploitation movies. There used to be actually a genre called what they call, and this is, I'm not making this up, the nudie cutie movies, where you have just well-endowed women, disrobing and walking around naked and whatever setting, and you can't do that today. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you cannot do. This is back in the 60s, obviously, right. But people talk about my movies are so terrible to no, they've always been that way. They've always been that way.
Well, I'm just trying to think of it's tough because we've reached this point where it's already been done. Because certain movies we've gone past, like when it comes to horror movies, the way they do so much more now than they ever did before.
Yeah.
But then we've gone backwards when it goes to comedy because, like we said, we'd never be... Even Caddyshack, I doubt you'd be able to see that made nowadays in the same way.
Yeah.
Frankly, one of the few that probably would have been Ghostbusters, and they fucked that up, so... I mean,
Caddyshack was on this weekend too. I always watch it when I get a chance.
Oh yeah, Caddyshack's one of those. Yeah, that whenever it pops up, I'll watch it. I've got the Blu-ray too, and but still.
What about old Chinese theater? Let me see. Hold on. But keep going. Slithering Peanut says, "Can you say can the MCU save its villain problem?" Well, they're going to get Doctor Doom soon. They're going to get Galactus soon.
I haven't had as many issues with the villains as some other people have. My only issue with, like I said earlier in the broadcast with Ant-Man and Wasp, is they had one too many villains. Because it's like, okay, you don't need that much. You had enough with, hopefully this isn't a spoiler for anybody, but, with the FBI chasing them and all that kind of shit, that was more than enough. You didn't need the Ghost to be in the mix either.
Yeah.
Unless there's real significance there. I don't get it.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie that could never be made today? Oh, take your pick.
Oh, yeah. Police Academy 9.
The Too Late Show. Whatever happened to Steve Gutenberg? Steve Gutenberg turned up on an episode of Community a couple years ago.
He still works.
Yeah,
the Stonecutters make sure they live by their word.
Yeah. Okay. Couple more questions, guys. When is the leader returning? Why does Marvel hate Hulk fans? Marvel doesn't hate Hulk fans. They just can't use him in his own movie.
I think we'll see the leader again at some point, even though the actor who plays him, the name escapes me at the moment, but he said that he doesn't think that he will, but I bet they will. Now that I've seen the Red Skull, I know anything's possible. So
yeah,
I mean, it was almost like they were avoiding the Red Skull by all means, but
yeah. One thing that surprised me was in the second Guardians movie when they showed the Watchers. I thought for sure the Watchers. I thought for sure the Watchers were over at Fox, but apparently not.
Maybe one of the shared ones.
Yeah.
Do we ever think he'll get a sequel or MCU reboot? He won't get his own movie, but I wouldn't doubt it after Thor Ragnarok. They aren't guys sitting there going, "Well, who can we team Hulk up with next?" If he makes it through the Avengers Infinity Gauntlet Part 2 anyway.
Yeah. Kellen O'Rourke, his Johnny Depp career is over pretty much.
Yeah, I heard he'll got in trouble again today or something or other too. I didn't get to read the story, but
he'll be in another Pirates movie soon enough. Okay, guys, one more question. I know we keep saying one more question, but one more. We gotta wrap this up here.
Yeah, Anthony, not to get into too much spoiler territory, just real quick about Fishburne's character. Yeah, they had some issues with him. And I think that's because they plan on using him later down the road. Which, if that was the case, if they would have cut out Ghost's character, then they could have just had him in a cameo and brought him back later. He didn't really need to be such a big part of the movie. But anyway.
Classic. What's your favorite movie? I have a list and it constantly rotates.
I'll give you my top three just because it's I'd have to say my top three would be Jaws, Empire Strikes Back, and Gremlins. I guess it's silly.
My top three would have to probably Empire Strikes Back, Back to School, and Hard Day's Night. What's your favorite Monty Python movie? All of them. All of them. No, I'm not that crazy about the Secret Policeman's Other Ball, but probably it's the Holy Grail.
Yeah, I get why most people like that one. I'm not like, I thought pound for pound, I just thought Life of Brian was a funnier movie.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have an affinity for Meaning of Life though as well, because to me that's like, actually, if you want to know something, in my opinion, Meaning of Life is like the actual only true real Monty Python movie because it's skits.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much a lot of skits, but it's all tied together on with
right.
Theme.
So in a way, it's like
theme.
If they were to make Saturday Night Live the movie, that's what I would picture it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if you're gonna say, okay, yeah, Holy Grail, that's a Monty Python movie, but it's got its own through story. Same thing with Life of Brian. But really, if you look at it, The Meaning of Life is the only one that's really like a Monty Python movie. If you're gonna say that's a true like movie of the show. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I know I probably sound stupid, but
no. Well, actually, and now for something completely different. Sketch, all their best sketches.
Well, that's what I was saying. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's actually like a greatest hits. But but I mean, if you want to say that's an actual Monty Python movie,
No, well, it was all reshot for a movie, but I don't. It wasn't conceived as a movie.
Correct.
Probably
correct.
It
reminded me of all those compilation tapes they used to do of SNL skits and SCTV skits back in the 80s, which is how I got to SCTV.
Yeah. Do you think there should be a Tupac movie reboot? All Eyes on Me wasn't that good.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Which pissed me off. It could have been good. It was horrible. They concentrated on some stupid shit. It felt like a Lifetime movie. I didn't like it. My review is up of it if you want to check that out.
All right, guys.
I don't remember.
All right, guys. We made it this time. It's going to have to be the last question of the night. And then I'm going to go stare at the thumbnail I made. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's how it's got carpal tunnel.
Yeah. Giggity. No, like a Quagmire with his arms all huge. No, Peter. Over there. Hey, Quagmire, what happened to your arm? Last question. How many more last questions will there be? And now, as many as I decide.
It's like basically as long as Rob will put up with being live.
Yeah.
Because we're closing in on an hour and a half now.
90 minutes almost.
We like to interact with you guys. It's fun.
Yeah, we do enjoy. Yeah.
No,
we do. I do like it.
Just get his internet fixed. We'll be good to go. We'll give you guys a set schedule.
I can watch high definition porn.
But speaking of what we got here, guys, is that what works for you guys best? Like during the week, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 8 p.m.
Yeah. What's the best? Because Ideally, probably around I was thinking around ideally maybe around 9 o'clock would be a good time. But what works best for you guys? What do you think? I mean, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. What do you guys think? Where's Terry Gilliam
4 nights a week? Maybe 5 if I'm lucky.
Where's Terry Gilliam speaking of Monty Python? Terry Gilliam is he's actually a weird guy. He's gotten weirder. Is Leia a Disney princess?
She should be.
Only if she wears the metal bikini.
She fucking should be.
20 or 2100 East time, so 8 or 9 Eastern time.
All right.
Anything else Ruth says? Clinton Jones, later the better for me.
Sometimes we also have to think about how it affects some of the guests we have as well. I mean, with Andre, it's very difficult. With Doomcock, it has to be a little later, but some of the other ones, it's a little easier to get them on a little earlier. But
yeah. So we're gonna have a little flexibility, but we like a roundabout starting time.
Right.
Yeah, we're thinking about maybe 9ish or so.
But yeah,
9ish Eastern time, which is 2100 as Anthony Altieri. Okay, what are your thoughts on the Fox shareholders suing
we were gonna put
Disney?
That in the show, but Rob decided against it. He vetoed it.
Oh yeah, like I have that power.
You. No, actually, you do. I mean, we decide together what goes on the show, unless Andre throws something at us and says you definitely got to cover.
Usually, like we like to have 3 stories.
I think it's gonna be a non-story more or less because I think it's only like 1 or 2 members that are actually.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get thrown out. Yeah, it's probably gonna get thrown out. Okay, are you worried MCU might go SJW? No, I am not. Kevin Feige's far too smart for that. Okay, guys.
I agree at least that some people are afraid. I think.
Yeah, we're not gonna see Captain Marvel give speeches about equality.
At least I hope not. Or if she does,
Dova Eagles
part of the movie anyway.
Dova Eagle says 9 is good. When is Alpha Flight coming to theaters? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Fox has the rights to Alpha Flight because they're lumped in with the X-Men.
Well, take care to all those that are leaving. So that means it's probably a good time for us to probably wrap her up here.
Yeah.
Rob, why don't you tell the folks out there what they can do and where they can find us and all that good stuff?
Well, if you like hanging out with us, you can click subscribe and you can click the bell icon. That way you're notified whenever we do a live stream or whenever there's a new video posted. And if you really like what we do, you can head over to Patreon and you can become a patron. Patrons will get all kinds of bonuses. You can get lost episodes. You can get behind the edge making of videos. You can get early notification, get uncut audio. Right. You get all kinds of neat. You can support the channel for as little as $1 a month, which is about 3 cents? It's pennies a day, as they say.
Less than a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, and we did our 60K AMA for the Midnight's Edge crowd and our 10K AMA for the After Dark crowd, so that'll be coming up here real soon, and some other good stuff.
Yes, and as I always say, if you don't have the means to support the channel on Patreon, please click subscribe and the bell icon. Share with your friends because we can't do this without you. We'd like to thank Willie Woodward.
And thank you, Willie.
Thank you, Willie Woodward, for the super chat. We appreciate that as always. He wants
to debate you, so you better go debate him.
Yeah, he's a master debater. Oh, so anyway, no, I know it isn't, George. So okay, anyway, thank you for joining us. We're gonna catch you back here again soon, and we will catch you next time.